Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to another episode of my F1 23 My Team Career Mode. This is episode number 7 today for the Monaco Grand Prix in Season 1. And for Monaco, we have a special one-off livery change for the Principality. We've still got the base colour of the electric green, but we now have got a symphony of chrome flowing through the livery and mainly on the sideboard and engine cover. Just a nice little switch up for a special race in the calendar. And let's hope it actually brings us some good luck rather than some bad luck with one-off liveries. If you guys did miss the previous one at the Imola GP, then be sure to go check that one out before you see this one, where we beautifully executed the best strategy possible for us in that situation. It was a long-term play, but we beat one of our main rivals at McLaren. The Alpine boys were taken care of, especially with Esteban Ocon suffering an engine failure, so we also boosted our chances with him in the rivalry in the bid to get some extra acclaim. But, you know, after that very odd Miami Grand Prix with our red flag, the wet race, getting reset on the results, we needed a return to form at Imola, and we got just that. But we also suffered, once again, a kind of little technical hiccup around Imola with the engine, so we got some extra R&D points for that. I think it was quite minor, though. The ERS got locked like it did in Azerbaijan, just for a few moments, to the point where I don't even think it made the edit in the race, basically. But yeah, we've had now 2 moments where the ERS has locked, so hopefully that's not a sign of worse things to come for the engine department. At the moment, we've got 4 pending upgrades to come to the car. 2 of those obviously failed recently, so they're repurchases, so they're going to finally come through, guaranteed won't fail, and that's going to be on the second tyre upgrade we brought, and then also on the rear downforce to finally balance out the front downforce we brought to the car. And it's going to come at a perfect time, because we're coming to Monaco. You need as much downforce as possible, but the tyre wear, the second upgrade, will also be very handy, because at Monaco, we need to try and keep track position, which means not needing to go earlier maybe on the pit stop, because although, yes, the undercut has been very powerful on this game specifically compared to previous games, Monaco, you know, unless you can make use of it in overtake, which is very difficult to do now, as the games have got on, Monaco becomes harder and harder because the AI get better and better at defending, and it just becomes harder to actually make those kind of audacious moves around the street. So that tyre upgrade is going to be actually quite handy for this one as well. And we come into Monaco, though, in terms of overall picture, ahead of McLaren and Alpine on the R&D chart, which is awesome. It just gives you a good feeling, a bit of confidence going into this weekend that we can do even better than we've done in recent races. And in the middle of the race weekend, after doing some practice programs, we go ahead and purchase the weight redistribution upgrade. So that's going to be a major upgrade. So when that comes in, it's going to take a little bit of a while to come in, but when that comes in, that's going to be a huge booster. But even though we're ahead of McLaren and Alpine, just right now on paper, we can't rest in terms of the progress we're trying to make, because with the AI getting increased R&D and cash, it's just a matter of time before maybe one of them makes a big jump. You know, right now it's going quite well for us, but they could just be saving R&D and then waiting to spend it later on. And obviously right now, a lot of our upgrades have been minor upgrades, so it's kind of easier to get through them. Now we get to the awkward stage of the season where we're starting to purchase some major upgrades, and they take a while to come onto the car, especially with how low our HQ facilities are. So now progress may be a little bit slower, and I'm expecting at some point in the European portion of the season, McLaren or Alpine to make one big jump at one of these races. But for now, progress is going well, and we're trying to dial in to the Monaco circuit, and you know, every single track on this game just feels that much better to drive with the new handling, Monaco included. Some of these corners just now able to have that confidence on the throttle and able to play around and dance the car around some of these streets as we try and make good progress on the second lap, just to feel better going to the next sessions, but obviously to get through into Q2. But that's more of a formality now, 7 races in hopefully, and we are going to get up into Q2, and we're actually going to put on an absolutely stonking lap to get up to second place right now, just behind Max Verstappen. I mean, I'm sure others will be speeding up. The track's going to get quicker and quicker, and the AI definitely do get quicker as we go on through the sessions on Saturday usually, but that's still a great marker to put down in terms of confidence levels. But every single session is different, and into Q2 we have a slight lock-up that sends us a little bit wide there. Had to very narrowly miss making contact with the wall. Leclerc then gets in our way and awkwardly doesn't really, get a jump out of the way in the best fashion there. Had a little bit of, tentativeness going into that complex of subtle corners as we weaved up the hill in Sector 1. So it's not going to be the best first flying lap in Q2. We may need a second one to try and get us through. And yeah, only P8. We're definitely going to need another one because we're now down in P15. So very different vibe to Q1. Felt comfy, did one lap, and that was it. Q2 have to strap on another set of soft tyres to try and get us through into Q3. And of course, this is the most important qualifying of the entire season. If you're going to try and make it into Q3, this is the time to do it, because it's going to completely set up your race in terms of where you're going to be for most part on Sunday. As we all know how Monaco goes across the line, it is an improvement, a much needed one. We don't match our Q1 lap time, so I don't know. We've got a couple of tenths there to try and match it, so maybe that Q1 lap time was just, an extraordinary lap in certain conditions, but thankfully we just make it through into Q3. That's the hard part. Now we reset, recalibrate our brain, and then go again for the top 10 shootout. But usual suspects there making it through, along with Lando Norris in McLaren, and a surprise for Kevin Magnussen in the Haas, just showing that Haas definitely have actually made some steps forward, as we're seeing Haas pop up a few different times now around us in these qualifyings and in the race. So into Q3, it's unfortunately not a great start again. I don't know what it was. We did that first lap in Q1. It was perfect, inch perfect, really. And then these first laps I've done in Q2 and Q3, just messing up a little bit. We went deep into Rascasse there. And on our second flying lap here at Monaco, on a scrub set of soft tyres, we've gone red first sector. We've gained some time back in the second, and we're going to do much better through that last sequence of corners to gain a couple of more tenths to get up to nearly half a second, maybe gain 4 tenths by the end of it, because the exit wasn't that great. So we gained 4 tenths and do improve on the second lap to get ourselves up to P8 on the grid, which is still pretty great, but it actually speaks volumes. I'm disappointed, because if we did our Q1 lap time, well, actually, to be fair, looking at the lap times, if I did my Q1 lap, I only would have gained 1 position up to P7. So in reality, maybe reality's hit home about where the pace is of the car, because that's actually the maximum we could have voted for. So actually, just ignore what I said. To be fair, we can't be too disappointed. It would have only gained us 1 position ahead of Lando, but on the start, 5 red lights, let's hope we can maybe try and jump the McLaren into turn 1, and then it might be a very lonely race for us then in terms of versus the other cars. The top 3 teams are Ferrari, Red Bull and Mercedes, but Leclerc on pole for his home Grand Prix. For us, we've got to look to at least get that P7 from Lando at the start, and then try and bring that home at least. And Monaco's Monaco. It's going to be tough to overtake. Let's see how it goes. Let's go to the grid.
Formula One returns to Monte Carlo once again today, home to the world-famous Monte Carlo Casino that first opened in 1863. And of course, a certain road race first held in 1929. There's no greater an occasion, no more valuable a win than the Monaco Grand Prix. The prestigious Circuit de Monaco, then, is not all that dissimilar today to the layout that made its debut almost a century ago. It's 2 miles and 19 corners through the streets of Monte Carlo. And although the average lap speed of around 93 miles per hour is the lowest of the season, the tiny margins for error make it the natural habitat of the safety car. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position. And a very happy Carlos Sainz will start second. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Hamilton, Perez, Russell, Norris, the owner driver, Fernando Alonso, Magnussen, Bottas, Leclerc, Ocon, Joe, Albon, Hulkenberg, Oscar Piastri, Stroll, Iwasa, De Vries, Sargent, Gasly, Sargent. And now it's time to head down to the track. It's race day yet again, and joining me for a chat is Anthony Davidson. And our racers are certainly in for a rough day today. What will you be watching out for as they head into turn 1?
Well, the start of the race is always one of the most nerve-wracking parts. You have to hope that everyone is able to get off to a clean start, and this is possibly the trickiest part of the entire race. So many drivers in such a small space, and finding your braking point into turn 1 as well. It's a testament to the driver's skill that there aren't more incidents.
We know what the objective is here at the start of this race, trying to jump that man to our left in the McLaren, Lando Norris, and then we'll see where we go from there. And the pace really might be very slow compared to the top cars ahead of us, because both myself and Lando are starting on the hard compound of tyre. But I'm not alone in the top flight. I think even the Red Bull cars are starting on the hard, so a lot of it's trying to go longer into the race to maybe get that track position in case there's a late, issue or something, or you're able to get the overcut basically because others are stuck in traffic having tried an undercut, because that's a definite possibility here at Monaco. You can try and be too clever and pit early onto a new set of tyres and get stuck, and someone who's stayed out actually gains on you. So that's the plan for us, is we're hoping that's maybe a scenario for us, but we've gained one position because there was a penalty for the home man. Can you imagine that? Charles Leclerc at Monaco. It's so unheard of for him to have some bad luck like this. It's quite a rarity. The man from Monaco has been dealt a penalty and has lost pole position in his home race. It's just, I've never heard of it. So that now means if he can jump the McLaren, we can get a top 6 result here in Monaco, which will be pretty damn tasty as we go to 5 red lights. Our first Monaco Grand Prix in the series is underway, and Lando Norris got a shocking start. He's been jumped by Magnussen off the line. As into turn 1, we have a look, and we actually overtake George Russell, who gets held up by the cars ahead of him. He just got boxed in a bit and tightened up his own line. We got to the outside because the McLaren just wasn't there. If Lando got a good start, I wouldn't have been able to move across so aggressively to the left-hand side, but he just got such a shocking one to the point where Magnussen now is up to P7. Norris finds himself in P8 now on hards, Magnussen on medium, so he's going to get stuck behind the Dane, I imagine now. For us, we've got Russell now behind us. That's going to be a bit of a scary situation, maybe trying to keep the Mercedes behind on quicker tyres. We're just going to have to try our best, but at the moment, loving life in the top 5 at Monaco. Watching ahead of us, Hamilton, Perez, it's Sainz in second place, and Verstappen, who inherited pole position, I believe, because I think he was on the front row anyway. So he, off pole position, leads the way, and he may not look back from that lead. We're going to have to see, but for now, at the end of lap 1, we're actually quite close to Hamilton's rear end, so this is quite amazing stuff, to be fair. But let's take a look at why we're in this situation. The race start replay from the McLaren really did not get underway at all, and then Russell boxed in by his own teammate and the Red Bull and unsighted a bit to where I was, and he kind of got caught up on the curb as well, to be fair, so that slowed him up into T1. And there is Lando now looking ahead and seeing the Dane of Magnussen ahead, so that is why we're in the top 5 then, as Verstappen leads the way on to lap 4, closely chased after by Carlos Sainz, the championship leader at the moment, of course. Sergio Perez 3rd place, Hamilton 4th. We continue to try and stick with him in P5, and it's going well, to be honest. The pace isn't really that bad on these hards, on heavy fuel versus the medium tyre runners around us, but things are about to get difficult because now we've got an engine issue. It's not our ERS, but we've got no standard fuel mixture. Our fuel mixture has been stuck onto lean, so it's not an ERS getting locked off. This time it's the fuel, so slowly we're getting a few little gremlins in this Honda engine in our car. Thankfully, we've not had a full blowout DNF yet, but these little issues are going to hamper us, and being on lean mixture is very tough because I've got this setting, of course, on the fuel mixture, the lean mode being as difficult as possible. That means there's so much less power in lean mode. Typically, you only use it, it's only available to use under a safety car to save some fuel. You never get to even change the fuel mixture usually in the race race, but right now it's locked off onto Lean, and Russell is going for the move. We're trying to defend with ERS, but the Brit is round the outside, and annoyingly, the Mercedes is past us, and we're still in Lean mixture. So is there more pain to come? Is Magnussen now in the medium tyre behind us, susceptible to try and close up to us now? This is so frustrating. Oh, okay, great. Okay, great. As we nearly hit the back of Russell, locking up to Mirabo. Of course, the fuel mixture changed back to standard the second he overtook us, pretty much. Great stuff. It's like the F1 gods didn't like the fact I managed to have that amazing start. So that's a little bit frustrating, but that is life. That's unfortunate. We can't do anything about those engine gremlins, so we're just going to have to get on with the job at hand. And that job is just trying to do the best I can on the hard tyres, and this is the best I can muster. Lap 18, 12 laps later. Nothing has happened apart from I've lost 10 seconds to Russell. I've managed to keep Magnussen at bay. He now pits off those medium tyres. To be fair, I was happy that I kept Magnussen at about a 2-second gap for the entire 12 laps from lap 6 to lap 18. But in those 12 laps, Russell just walked away in that clean air. So that's the true pace of the Mercedes car versus ours at the moment, as we now go and get a couple of more positions because others are pitting off their mediums, and it just leaves myself and Verstappen on the hards at the front here. Russell continues on for another lap on his mediums, but he'll come in eventually, and even Verstappen will come in off his hard tyres. I think relative to the pace we've had before, I think there's still a little bit more to go on the hards to maybe make this strategy worthwhile, but Verstappen's come in a bit earlier than I thought he would, as we now watch Carlos Sainz make a move on Lando Norris. What an overtake round the outside at turn 1, and that was for position. Norris is there legitimately up in P4 at the moment. I don't know if he's yet to pit or not. I think he's still on those hards, but Sainz had to make that move because Hamilton was close by. Meanwhile, his teammate, the man who was on pole on Saturday, is way down the order in P14. Our own team at Iwasa is actually doing quite well in P10. I don't know if he's pit or not, but P10's pretty damn great for our teammate in round 7 of this season. But for me, I've now got a mirror full of Max Verstappen, but it is Monaco. It's going to be hard to overtake, and I want to take these hards a bit longer because I kind of want to try and go on the soft compounded tyre. Verstappen goes for the move at Raskas round the outside, and we do very well to actually defend that, and we've got enough ERS to hopefully boost us along the straight to stay ahead of the Red Bull, even though he's got DRS, and we're going to be really frustrating the Dutchman because now Carlos Sainz has closed up, and that's the fight for the race win, of course. So this could be crucial for Sainz versus Verstappen. I'm just doing my own race. My teammate comes into the pits, and I think he also started on hards, to be honest, so that's actually confirmed my thinking that we should have gone longer. My teammate's gone 22 laps, so I'll go 23. I'll probably look to come in at the end of this lap or the next one, and I fancy, like I said, the soft compound, just to give us some sort of hope and maybe fighting chance of, just having some pace, basically, because I spent 12 laps doing absolutely nothing, so I may as well try and maybe have a bit of pace on the soft compounded tyre. Why not? But at the moment, it is just a very slow affair trying to get to that pit stop, basically. Verstappen, he's going to be so frustrated in that cockpit because that Ferrari's getting closer and closer. 3/10 the gap now from Sainz to Verstappen as we come through the swimming pool section. Verstappen is right on our gearbox into Raskas. Oh, he makes contact. Verstappen hits us, and he's taken himself out the Grand Prix. Verstappen has overcooked it into Raskas. The safety car is out, so that is our cue to come in for a free pit stop. I mean, I was going to come in anyway because I don't know if we have damage or not. I think our front wing is somehow intact, but I can't remember if there was any more damage on the car. We're in. The team are going to put on a set of medium tyres for us, though. I wanted to go to softs, but now looking at it, there's actually too many laps to maybe make the softs work in this situation. If I kept going for a couple of more laps like I wanted to, then the softs might be the option, but I think there's too long to go still in this Grand Prix. But let's look at this replay. I mean, what is Verstappen doing there? I get he wanted to get past me. I frustrated him, but he completely misjudged that. Completely. I mean, look at this slow-mo. I stayed to the left the entire time. Don't move in the brake zone. Verstappen actually moves to go to the inside. you know what? The Rasgas dive bomb, it's not for everyone, you know? Not everyone can pull it off with such composure as I have in the past on F1 games. It's not for everyone. Yeah, he's only got himself to blame there, to be honest. I did nothing wrong. I held my line. I broke maybe a little early because my tyres are shot. It's the car behind's problem to try and judge that for himself. So Verstappen has absolutely mucked that up for himself. And we now find ourselves in P4 on medium tyres versus everyone else around us on hards. This just got interesting. And I think George Russell knows the threat that we are now on the better compound as we're trying to go around the outside of him. We basically push him through the final corner because these tyres are working so much better than the hards, and we go round the outside of our fellow compatriot and actually take revenge basically in the same way. What? Illegal overtake. We were past turn 1. We get that past him anyway through Casino Square. Like I was saying before, I was rudely interrupted by that illegal overtake message. We basically did what he did to us earlier around the outside of turn 1. And now Magnussen has fancied himself. Go on, K-Mag in the Haas. Can he get Russell? Mercedes defends the inside. Magnussen keeps his foot in. And he's going to go the long way round through that right-hander. And that is a sublime overtake for the Dane. Go on. What a day for Haas. They're up into P4 at this Monaco Grand Prix. Russell's been absolutely flustered and he's down to P5 now, looking behind him at Fernando Alonso, looking ahead at a big rear wing that says Haas on it as we are up into a podium position. Let's not forget now in this situation, Sainz leads the way, Hamilton second, and we can have him. We can have him. On this year's game, there's such a difference between the different compounds in terms of the level of extra speed you have on the softer compounds, and you can see also that Hamilton's just struggling to light up these hards around the streets as we wrestle the car through. Little bit of contact as we get the elbows out, but you've got to do that around Monaco if you want to make an overtake. Any overtake really, is we're now side by side with the 7-time world champion. It's our first real big battle with a big name in this series, and Hamilton is giving us a real scrap. We're still neck and neck into to back. Round the outside we go into swimming pool. We're up into second place. We've just overtaken Lewis Hamilton in the Mercedes car and we're flying high. He goes on the outside though. He comes back at us. Of course he would. He's bloody Lewis Hamilton. He tries his best, but we're going to defend and we have enough engine power to see him ahead. This is unbelievable. We're not only just in a podium position, we're in second place right now with 9 laps to go. Lap 35. We've kept Hamilton at bay so far. We go defensive. Hamilton sticks his nose and he's made contact with us. Hamilton breaks our floor. I'm pretty sure he cut the corner whilst doing it as well. Whilst he made that contact. I'm really not sure about that, but that's really peeved me off now. Like, we had a really respectful battle, but then he's gone and done that. So we're going to try and ferociously wrestle this car through with this new floor damage now. Look at Magnussen though. K-Mag and the Haas has kept up with this. He's only 1 second back now. This is amazing. The Haas could even be battling for the podium as we go round the outside of Hamilton. And we're going to have a dose of ERS, cut him off at the racing line just to show him our annoyance of that situation that has occurred there. We're back into second place, but we've now got a limp home, and it's going to be parkingthebus.com strategy for us to try and see this through as Hamilton tries to go around the outside of Mirabeau, and he's maybe got caught out because Magnussen is now fighting for third place. This race is one for the little guys. Haas, ourselves, this is amazing stuff. Magnussen, can he get third? He overtook Russell round the outside. This time he's tried the inside line, and unfortunately he's compromised himself a bit too much there. So Lewis will stay in third place, and Kevin is going to have to settle for P4 once again. But let's look at a replay at this, because I went defensive. Hamilton real late on the brakes, but he cuts the corner and then makes contact with us. Like, there was a point where he should have just given up the corner. At this point, you think, okay, I'm done, because I take the corner normally. The only way he makes that corner is by cutting the corner and hitting my car, and then he makes the overtake. So, yeah, it's a weird one. I do think I gave him enough room being defensive, but at a certain point in the corner, you think, okay, that's done. He can't make the rest of the corner now, so I'll go to the apex, and especially there, that is not a corner you can actually physically go side by side at in these larger cars, but it doesn't matter because we're able to hold second place to the last lap of the Grand Prix. Maybe Hamilton himself got a bit of front wing damage, I don't know, because it was okay holding him back. Carlos Sainz will take all the plaudits for winning the Monaco Grand Prix, but the biggest story of this race will be us coming through for our first ever podium on F1 23 My Team Career Mode. It's second place, and to be fair, Magnussen in P4 is a pretty big story as well. It's a race for the little guys, but we've done it. We've got our first podium at Monaco as well. Monaco is such bad luck for us on last year's F1 game. For this one, it's all turned up.
That's it then for another nail-biting Monaco Grand Prix. We were on the edge of our seats the whole time, but they've come through to take a stunning victory. And talk to me, what do you think it was that sealed the win for them?
Well, they certainly stood out as a driver with tons of confidence on the track. I think their ability to keep their cool, even during some of the more hectic parts of the race, meant they were able to capitalise on the mistakes of other drivers, giving them the opportunity to make their way to the top spot with ease.
Here come our winners now, a thrilling race and a tremendous effort by Ferrari. Their history is well known, so it's no surprise to fans the world over to see them come out on top once again.
I am so gassed about this second place, but you know what? That man right there is going to be very gassed. Carlos Sainz, I don't think you've maybe noticed, but he's quietly had an unreal start to this first ever season in this game. Even though Red Bull are the better car on paper, it's there to see on the R&D chart. Obviously, we see that in real life, but they've been operationally so bad. Obviously, Verstappen's had a few hiccups today. He got the best of him and he crashed himself out of the race on my rear end, and so Sainz wins that one and is going to extend his championship lead by quite a considerable amount. But for us, just overjoyed. Second place, fast lap of the Grand Prix as well, because we were the only man on mediums at the end of that race on the low fuel, so that was the correct way to go in terms of the strategy. I mean, we decided that from the get-go. Obviously the safety car helped us out massively, but even without the safety car, I think we would have done some great work on the medium tyres, maybe, possibly, but it definitely, I'm not getting about it. You know, the safety car did help hugely, though, because obviously it closed that 10-second gap that we had to the top cars after Russell overtook us. But Ferrari lead the constructors by 38 points. Sainz is, what, like 28 or something like that, ahead of the next car. It's really looking like a very good season for Ferrari. Very much the opposite of what is happening in real life, but it's fantastic to see in the game. It'd be rather boring if it was just the exact same as IRL. Obviously, that's the beauty of the F1 game. Already 7 races in, we're seeing the natural AI, R&D, ebb and flow, the focus, momentum take us and forge us into a new alternate F1 reality, alternate F1 universe that we are creating on the F1 23 game. And now etched into that tapestry is our second place at Monaco, at the first time of asking around the Principality. What a race. Guys, if you did enjoy the episode, hit the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.